Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I am doing a sneak preview of a blog post which is scheduled to go live on the 26th of February, 2025. 20 more things wrong with this absolutely garbage, near bottom of the barrel book by the late fraud Beatrice Sparks. So if you're watching it before that date, consider this a sneak preview. I have a previous video going over a general preliminary overview of this book, as well as like the first 20 things wrong with this book. And I'm not sure how long this series is going to run for. It's a bad, it's so difficult to choke it down, and it's, a kind of repetitive, but let's see how many things wrong I can find with this terrible, terrible book. Beatrice Sparks was not a PhD like she claimed to be. She didn't even have a college degree, did not have a clinical, adolescent psychological practice, just like a total inveterate liar for pretty much her entire life. So let's just start getting down with it. As rock bottom awful as Beatrice Sparks's books are, at least most of her others are fairly easy to get through, relatively speaking, on account of the journal format. Like when she strayed from that 2 times, she was totally tanked by reviewers. Almost Lost, a pretended case study of therapy sessions, magnifies all of her weaknesses and failures as a creative writer. I mean, maybe she would have been not good by any stretch, but maybe somewhere close to even decent or average if she had actually seriously taken writing classes, worked with a good solid editor, had crit partners who actually knew what they were doing, instead of just affirming everything she wrote is perfect. But she was just horrible, terrible writer. I can't not believe anyone published her crap, and it was only because she pretended these were from real teens, but now we know better. But anyway, number 21, continuing the numbering from the previous video. The fictional doctor who endorses this garbage signs off with "Love you, Sammy." What? That's so creepy. One, that's hugely creepy. Unprofessional language, as I was just saying. 2, nice job calling back to one of Alice's pet phrases from Go Ask Alice. This was a thing she did in pretty much all of her books. I mean, I don't have the interest to sit down and trawl through all of them and keep notes of phrases I see recurring, but she definitely, they all pop out to me because she reuse the same phrase or very close variations of it in all of these different books. Yet another clue she was the real author. Number 22. Oh, boy, this is so it just proves her ego. She was getting off so hard from writing herself as a miracle working superwoman, curing serious mental health issues and drug abuse at the speed of light, getting Sammy's parents back together, and instantly restoring self-esteem. She really did think the sun shone out of her ass. And as Rick Emerson says when he briefly discusses this crap in the wonderful book Unmask Alice, it's like a high wire taunt to her critics. I'm untouchable. I can do all this amazing stuff and portray myself as this, I can do anything. I'm the grand goddess of the universe. Oh yeah, try to come for me now. It's just I hope she didn't break her. Well, I mean, I do hope she really did, but maybe hopefully she did break both of her arms from patting herself on the back. How did she even find time to write when her head was pile driven up her own ass all the time? It's just this woman, I hate her so freaking much. Number 23. Nice job paying homage to Jay's journal and the satanic panic it created. Sammy starts thinking he might be possessed by witches, demons, or vampires. Yeah, that's so realistic. And is drawn into witchcraft and devil worship. And this happens when this chick he's kind of friends with benefits or something, or just they make out sometimes. Before all the crap, I had really liked Harmony. Yeah, that's a silly fake name. We were close. Now she seemed like a holier-than-thou bratty bitch, always telling me to stop being so moody and so sarcastic and everything else. I didn't need her to swipe at me. I got enough of that at home. And then he's talking about they're trying to Harmony is trying to snuggle with him and make out on the bleachers, and I was repulsed. It was scary because her touch had always been like electricity before. I pushed her away. Actually, I not just pushed her away. I shoved her. More like hit her. Actually, really punched her hard 3 times. It was like someone else had done it. Someone else I didn't know, didn't want to know, couldn't stand. She felt it too because she ran away crying. You're not you anymore. I don't know who you are, except you're a pig, and I don't care if I never see you again. In fact, I don't want to see you to ever see you again, ever. I knew she meant it, and I didn't blame her. She was right. Someone or something had taken over my mind, my body, my soul. Yeah, who thinks like that? I began to think I was possessed, taken over by devils, vampires, ugliness, evilness. On the way home, I stopped at the bookstore and bought a vampire book and a possessed by demons book. I wonder who wrote that one. Maybe Dr. Fraud was giving herself a shout out in that, like an unwritten reference. I was totally stunned by the number of books there were on the subjects. They disgusted me, but they fascinated me too. It's like, oh, in a couple of months or weeks or something passed, and the supernatural became my natural. I combed all the bookstores for works on witchcraft and devil worship, convincing myself that I was just seeking information. This is total satanic panic crap. Just total like idiocy. Who was actually believing this crap in the 90s? Nice try, Dr. Fraud, but your little crusade had already ended for all intents and purposes, although there were still some like hangers-on who hadn't gotten the message yet, and been exposed as the social panic nonsense it was by the time this book was published in 1996. Number 24. This made me angry too, and it's just in the same passage I was just reading from. I've never really been a big rap fan. I do, like the really, really old school like hip hop from back in the like 80s and early 90s, but it really pisses me off how Dr. Fraud equates gangster rap with devil worship and supposed witchcraft. Like, what's the connection there? That is just so freaking bizarre and insulting and offensive. And knowing her and like, Mormonism in general, this is definitely low-key racism. As I've learned from watching The Rap Critic, who's a channel I highly recommend, although his like, post-COVID output, unfortunately, it's not really as like consistent or frequent or funny. But anyway, I do love his original videos and many of the ones he still puts out now, even though he doesn't upload as frequently. But anyway, so I've been watching him since 2013, I believe, and as I've learned since then, gangster rap arose as a response to the difficult realities of urban life, like being poor, like, institutional racism, like police brutality, like racial profiling, like being unable to just pull yourself up by the bootstraps when you haven't any boots or someone is standing on the boot, just all sorts of unfortunate things like that. And many of the songs have a lot of hard-hitting social commentary, particularly the first ones. I guess I'll put a link down to his channel down below. But if you like listen to them, they're not just, of course, like it's modern gangster rap. I'm not really familiar with it, but it's not the same as it originally was. The whole like brag rap and mumble rap and oh, look at all this money I have in the limos. And Rap Critic definitely drags rap like that. He likes rap with a social message and like a fun story. He's totally not into this pimps and hoes and like brag rap crap. But anyway, like the actual like original and the stuff gangster rap that's still good, it has nothing to do with witches, even though like pimps and hoes crap has nothing to do with freaking like witchcraft or Satanism. It just made me so freaking angry. How did this even get published? This is just so stupid. It's like she wanted to keep alive the satanic panic even when it was in its like death throes. Like, moving on. Number 25. Again, with 90s teens referring to defecation as a bowel movement. Like, what? I knew precisely no one in real life who did that. And I was so confused, as I've said in some previous videos talking about this subject in her books. Like, I must have been maybe like 10 or something, 12, 11, when I first ran across that term in a book. And I like, what does this mean? That's weird. Like, who would use that term? It sounds stupid and silly. Are there actually like families teaching their children that word? People who actually seriously use that word, and it's not just like a joke or whatever. It's just freaking stupid. I think of that as a medical term and euphemism for people too squeamish to use any of the earthier slang. And Sammy does use some of the earthier slang in other contexts in this book, like he says gobbledygook poop. Like, why can't he use that word for when he's referring to this again and again? Why are you even talking about your defecation in the therapist's office, even if it's related to, oh, when I, came home and mommy like rolled me into the shower and I wouldn't let her take off my shorts because I'm a former gangbanger. I was living rough on the streets, but I'm still gonna refer to my genitals as private parts because we all know teens in the 90s, particularly like gangbangers, were totally down with using babyish euphemisms, and he has to go to the hospital, and they're checking his like feces, or want him to check his feces. Like, why are you even telling that story? I'm going to get into this further in a future video. Like, this character arc in the story, it's like totally inconsistent. Like, how does gang life relate to like depression and the homelessness on the streets? It's just so many like disparate, convoluted plot threads. She just like they were just coming out of nowhere. They're not like relating to one another. They're just not consistent and related. Number 26. Who the hell refers to feces as you know what? And of course with hyphens. She loved the pedantic, nitpicky hyphens everywhere she could get in phrases. It's even goofier when Sammy says, "No way was I going to check my you-know-what for you-know-what." That just laugh out loud stupidity. He's supposed to be 15, not 5. And that could you get any like more specific? How the hell is anyone, like a doctor or like a lawyer or whoever, like an important matter, a psychotherapist, going to know what in blazes you're talking about when you're saying my you-know-what? Like, even a 15-year-old should be able to use proper words for like body parts and body functions. I think he's trying to say they wanted to check his like feces for blood. Like, or can you not say blood? Or maybe he meant drugs or something. Like, what is with this dumbass euphemism, Marie? Like, just stupidity. Just like freaking spit it out and say my you know what and my you know what. It's just like an over the top parody of like a squeamish prudish like Victorian. Just a dumbass. Number 27. Who the hell wants to read a long scene of a relaxation exercise and a laughable attempt at hypnosis, as I ripped into in the previous video on this book? Particularly teens. Like, what was she even thinking, if she even had working brain cells? I'm a big believer in auto-hypnosis for various purposes, but it's so boring and out of place here. I mean, like, if when I did find like relaxation exercises in books back in the like mid 90s, when I was just starting to like learn about it and get into that. But, you know, obviously I knew where to look, what section in the bookstore, in the library, and any like teens reading this book, if they were interested in that themselves. Like, nowadays you can of course go on YouTube. I highly recommend Joe T's Hypnotic Labs, and there are other great channels where you could find lots of books with the exercises or like web pages or something. But you don't need to like, read a whole ass long scene like that in a freaking book that's supposed to be like not about hypnosis. It's just like, you know where to look. It's just, and why is she doing this? It's just so stupidity and inconsistency. Just a dumbass. I sound like a broken record. A reviewer at Amazon and Goodreads thought the book was trying to hawk hypnosis tapes. It's that over the top and like press, "Oh, okay, Paula, Sammy's mother, you can go into the listening room anytime you like and listen back to this therapy session. I was touching your body just like a creepy, perverted temple worker, anointing people naked under the sheet with oil in the pale ale temple ceremony." Just like she was really pushing that one hard. Number 28. Since when did Dr. Fraud think mothers aren't 100% angelic and perfect? That was absolutely shocking. Way to contradict all your other books. All the mothers in her books are portrayed as cartoonishly saintly, and the teenagers are constantly worshipping, like, "Oh, precious mama, how can I ever live without mama? How can I go away to college and leave mama, my precious mommy?" It's just, I'm not even being hyperbolic. It's just mommy worship up the wazoo. Number 29. What in blazes are boogies? Like, what? What grown adult, or even anyone over the age of 10, if that, still believes in the boogeyman? And since when did Dr. Fraud use British spellings for anything? She spells it with one O instead of two O's, which to my like eyes makes it look like the word is pronounced bogies, or night boogies, she also calls them. She constantly harps on these boogies with her pet fetish of all caps, as do Sammy and his parents. That's just yet another Mormon thing. They believe in like demons and possession and the literal boogeyman. Just like what was going on upstairs, she needed to shrink herself. Number 30. Sammy's parents reconcile thanks to Dr. Fraud. Oh, that was nice of her. Like Superwoman, the high wire taunt. Though only about 6% of all divorced couples remarry. This is like proven out by statistics. I think maybe like 15 or so, like 10, 15, 20, something like that. They get back together, like, you know, as a couple and dating, but only 6% go on to remarry. And unless something radically, you know, changes, like the same issues that led you to divorce in the first place will, like, more often than not, lead to a second divorce, even if you are among the 6% who decides to remarry one another. It's just stupid. She well and truly had heaps of unresolved trauma from her parents' divorce. Like every single book of hers. Oh, divorce, terrible. Oh, I'm bawling. Divorce is just no words. Oh, I'm humiliated. Daddy is getting remarried. How can I attend his wedding? I'm considering unaliving myself because I'm betraying mommy by going to daddy's new wedding. And oh, mom and dad divorced me. Divorce bad. It's just so stupid. It makes me angry. Number 31. Who the hell high fives a therapist, let alone twice in a row? That's just more stupidity. Number 32. Dr. Fraud had no clue of how real people talk. Everyone speaks in such goofy, pretentious prose, which I'm sure even the biggest Molly Mormons and Peter Priesthoods don't do in speaking off the cuff. Just like if I gave all these examples I've noted, this video would be like 7 hours long or something. Number 33. Why the hell would Sammy go right to Dr. Fraud after coming home from the streets? After being so hostile about therapy 3.5 months ago, now he feels she'll be more understanding than his family. Like, way to pat yourself on the back again, Dr. A-hole. Number 34. It pisses me off how Dr. Fraud says negative thoughts are self-abuse. Idiot. She just couldn't think outside of LDS Incorporated, where everyone, especially women, are pressured to smile and keep sweet all the time, even to the point of being chastised for crying at funerals. I just found that out recently. I was watching, I think she might have uploaded another video since then, but it's one of the most recent videos from Alyssa Grenfeld. She's a former Mormon. I think she's maybe 13 or so years younger than I am, in her early 30s. Most of her videos are really informative, and I did not know this until I watched that video, how dare you cry at a funeral, and this is why Mormons are always smiling. So that's why the creepy Thomas and Amanda Stansel were smiling, this creepy smile by the tiny coffin containing the first 3 of their sextuplets to die. I think they were born in 2007, and their whole blog is so creepy. OMG, he, media blitz, oh, we're all happy and smiling at the funeral. She ceases to amaze us, and this. Oh, no wonder they were smiling, and so many people, this was a big media story at the time, criticizing them for caring more about the damn media blitz and smiling at them funeral. Why didn't they do selective reduction when they were told it was a high risk pregnancy? So that was a totally answered question, wondering all these years, why the hell are these people ghoulishly smiling at not only a funeral, but by a coffin, and by a coffin for 3 severely extremely dangerously premature infants. What was going on upstairs? So no wonder the whole oh, I must be Pollyanna and push past the bad thing that happened. If I'm not smiling and keeping sweet within less than 24 hours, I'm just a bad person, and I'm not working hard enough on dumping my whole gagging load of gagging garbage in the past, and I don't want to wallow in it. I need to make a sacred oath to get out of the ugly, negative, wallowing, gagging garbage past and into my sacred, precious, forever long future, la la la. Number 35. It's one thing if the client brings up religious issues oneself, but therapists aren't supposed to drop that into sessions unprompted. Mormons can't help proselytizing every chance they get. Number 36. Of course Dr. Fraud looks down on, discourages, and outright lies about antidepressant drugs. That made me angry. Number 37. Dr. Fraud gets the Gordons to start having... Wow, this was a shocker when I was flipping through it. Could she get more blatantly, Mormon, even more than usual? So she gets them to start having regular family home nights, which is such an obvious reference to Mormonism's family home evening. When I actually get to that part, instead of just skimming through the book, I would not be surprised if this is on a Monday, because that's when the morgue has their little cult family home evening. She couldn't keep her Molly Mormon fingerprints off these books, seriously. Number 38, again with teens calling their own peers kids, and the kids, who in blazes still freaking talks like that? I realized that, was a real thing in the past, 30s, maybe 20s, 30s, to 50s. I've even seen some films and stuff in the 60s, but I guess even by then it seemed a little out of touch, out of fashion, the screenwriter's not understanding that's not really a thing people do. But I have never heard any of my own peers, and I was a teen in the 90s myself, saying, oh wow, all the kids are coming to my birthday party. Oh, I was hanging out with some of the kids. Oh, another kid at school. You would say people or teens or something like that. You would not freaking call your own damn peers kids. That's childish and stupid and fantilizing. Number 39. Dr. Fraud, surprise, surprise, pats herself on the back and demonstrates her delusions yet again by telling Sammy how much she cared for the teens in her books. All but one of them were fictional characters, and we have, like, it does seem like Go Ask Alice was inspired by and, like, based on some of the things said by a real girl, but I don't believe it came from an actual diary, so, like, maybe, like, technically two of them were for being generous, but again, like, this woman, like, girl Alice was based on, didn't give any permission for Dr. Fraud to use anything she said in, like, this book or anything. So, like, for all intents and purposes, like, only one, like, real teen with, like, a diary, a real legitimate verified, we know for sure diary, which she based a later book on. And so, like, she distorted the one real teen's journal beyond recognition. Like, oh, I hope I know you care. I care for you as much as I care for them. I hope you know how much I cared for those kids. Ugh. Number 40. Every bit of dialogue feels like it was pulled from trawling through a psychology textbook, just like all of her other books. Again, Dr. Fraud had no clue how normal people articulate their thoughts, and that healing from trauma and depression takes a long time, often in a very non-linear process. So thank you guys very much for watching all the way through to the end. I am not enjoying this book at all. The only reason I am going to the effort to choke it down and write blog posts and make videos about it is, you know, I like taking one for the team to warn other people against this huge fraud. And it's just like fun to rip her a new one and, like, make fun of her books as, you know, serious and, like, dangerous as it was, like spreading misinformation about AIDS and eating disorders and the real treatment for depression, and, like, you know, a teacher, like, is stalking you, like, grooming you, things like that. I just hate this woman so damn much. And so, anyway, thank you guys very much for watching all the way through to the end, and I will see you very soon with another video. Bye.